It is recording now.
It is. Are we going to discuss more of the lesbian dorm porn?
Well,
That's kind of a tongue twister, though.
Ah, that's funny. I bet it is.
Oh, see what I did there?
you didn't mean to do that.
If you're doing it right, it is.
This is the Give Me Five podcast, a semi-entertaining show about some very entertaining things. This is a Side A episode, which means we are going to talk about pop culture, entertainment news, movies, music, books, Florida, whatever caught our eye this week. My name is Bullet, and I'm joined by Hollow Bob
Hello.
and Boy Sweat.
Ugh.
This week, we're going to talk about the Netflix series Jupiter's Legacy, the new Jason Statham film Man of Wrath, and the docuseries Sons of Sam.
Note to self, always check what he writes in as the names.
Embrace it. Just embrace it. Speaking of embracing, this is a review show, and there will probably be spoilers. We're gonna try actually to avoid major twists, but if we're talking about something that you haven't seen, read, or listened to yet, and you're very into it, use your own discretion. Again, I promise we're not going to do it on purpose, but I mean, who knows? What's happening in the news?
There's a lot of news here. Rob, what you got?
There is a bit of news, and this isn't something that we normally talk about, but I thought it was kind of cool. It melds technology and my field. They have apparently improved on some technology that they have that allows paralyzed people to think of letters and have it converted into text.
Oh, cool.
That's mind-blowing. That's awesome.
So it basically reads the section of the brain where they would formulate what their hand would do if they were writing a letter. You know, so they would write the letter A, and they think about making their hand write the letter A, and this little chip that they have implanted in their brain interprets that as the letter A and puts it into text. Now, right now, it's kind of labor intensive because the chip still has to learn the person, and there still has to be somebody to program it and all of this. But the hopes are that someone will pick this up and run with it and develop a more streamlined interface where people can do this on their own with minimal remote assistance or whatever. So I thought it was a cool little tidbit, getting a little bit closer to Johnny Mnemonic and having hard drives installed in our heads.
That's
so
awesome.
First of all, that is very cool. But a few years ago, there was a game that came out. It was like a Jedi game where you'd put something on your head and you could control, make a sphere float or something like that. I didn't look too closely, but it was a thing I thought it was a joke at first. But it was a real thing. And all I could think about is the fact that it was like $29.99, and there were children going to be placing these electrodes on their head and concentrating really hard on stuff happening. And I got a very strong, as you said, Johnny Mnemonic
vibe,
accidental Tron feeling. But knowing that this is actual science behind it, and doctors and programmers and things like that, and there aren't going to be children, making themselves comatose by concentrating too hard on the Toyota. It's cool.
It's very cool.
Science rules.
Usually the life cycle of new technology is that at first it's a little bit cumbersome, it's a little bit difficult or whatever, but the fact that this exists means we're probably 80 or 90% of the way to something that will be a total game changer. I mean, that's so awesome.
Yep. 80 to 90% right there to Terminator 2.
Hell yeah.
I call it Skynet. Everything's going to be fine.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
Cue
good times.
a tank tread rolling over Omar's skull.
Wait, but I'm still alive. Oh, not anymore.
No, you're done.
Yeah, that's it.
Very, very cool.
So
What
I came
else we
across I also came across another story, moving on from the healthcare field, that one of my favorite cartoons growing up is actually getting a new feature-length film. Now, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this because the last one was absolutely horrendous. And I love the show. I loved the show. And this was when I was a teenager or in my early 20s. But several of the Adult Swim favorites are getting new feature-length movies. And those series are Metalocalypse, The Venture Brothers, and the one I was talking about is Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes!
I did really enjoy that show. Really liked it. But the movie was just dumb.
I never saw it. I loved the show.
You weren't missing much. It wasn't good. I was just like, okay. I thought it would be more like what we get in the shows, but it was a lot of dumb stuff. So, did you guys watch any of those shows?
I watched Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I didn't have cable back then because I was a poor college student. Mm-hmm. But that was right when a lot of the file share things came out, and a friend of mine actually put a bunch of them on a zip disk for me.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, excellent.
So I watched them, and then eventually I watched them much later in the cycle. So it was already off the air by the time I watched it.
I only saw a little bit of each of them, but like the one I remember the most is Metalocalypse.
Yeah, people were always so offended by Meatwad, because that was my icon. It was my icon for a very long time on chat boards and things like that, and people were always like, "Ew, gross! What is that?"
Yeah, if you don't know what it is, it does look pretty gross. That's kind of funny.
So excellent. We have Venom trailer on here as well. The new Venom trailer did come out. I didn't put it on there, but I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm pretty sure you did.
I watched it today.
It's awesome.
I even made Jen watch it.
It was posted in the chat room. Definitely, it introduced Carnage. It's Venom something Carnage, right? Let There Be Carnage, or Rise of Carnage, or
Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Yep.
The Wrath of Carnage, the Carnage 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of those. It leaned in on the humor. I thought the tone is interesting because Carnage is severe serial killer, and they definitely did the Venom Eddie Brock thing where Eddie Brock is like trying to control Venom, which I liked, and I think that the introduction of Carnage will throw that off in a good way. Yeah. So it looked good. Good.
I really liked the first couple of like minute or two of the trailer with Venom making breakfast while Eddie Brock is making coffee.
So good.
And Eddie's just like, oh my god, I can't fucking deal with this, because Venom is like turning on the radio, he's singing along, he's cooking like everything, making a huge ass mess.
And he's for you haven't seen it, he's just tendrils coming out of Eddie Brock's back.
Yeah, tendrils with the mind of their own, doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It was
great. He sits down and Venom throws the food down in front of him, and he's like, ooh, and then he goes, do you want some ketchup? And he grabs the bottle and squeezes it in front of him, and it like explodes all over Eddie Brock, and Venom just goes, yummy.
And there's a sign on the fridge that says like, I don't eat humans or something like that. No
eating people.
Yeah. That's the best part. I love that. The end of the trailer with Mrs. Chen.
That was great.
She's like, sorry about the chocolate order. He's like, I would like to eat Mrs. Chen. You cannot eat Mrs. Chen. And she's like, look on her face because no one else can hear what Venom is saying. So it's of course out. We don't need to describe this anymore. It looks fun. I think Rob liked the first Venom movie better than I did. It was a good background movie for me, but it's definitely something I'll see again, or the second one. But my kid loved this trailer.
I have to say that the trailer, like just in general, it's a really good trailer. Like it starts off with the funny stuff with the kitchen, and then when they get serious and they get into the nitty gritty of like Carnage,
Woody Harrelson, of course.
Woody Harrelson does a great job. But like the tone, they do such a good job of shifting the tone from the funny kitchen scene to like the bulk of the movie with Carnage. and then back to the funny thing at the end, like they do that like sandwich thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought this was a. I mean, I'm not a trailer guy. I believe that usually trailers give away too much info. This was awesome. It was really, really good.
It was an effective trailer.
It was very effective.
It made me excited.
I'm ready to see this movie. I think this is going to be the first movie I see in the theater post lockdown.
Yeah, but anyway, I got some news here. Do you want the sad news or the very important food news?
Let's go with the food first.
Oh, I was going to say.
I'll say sad and then clean the palate.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay.
Like an amuse-bouche. Got it.
A couple days, or about a week ago, I, of course, am up very late. I was looking around on the Twitter page of the Give Me 5 podcast, and we, of course, have a lot of 80s hair metal bands that we follow on there. Mm-hmm. Probably because I'm in control of the Twitter page for the Give Me 5 podcast. at Give Me 5 Pod. So I was looking at a couple pages, and they were all talking about Tawny Kitaen, who was, of course, a video vixen, was in the rolling around on the hood of a car in the Whitesnake videos, and was on the cover of Rat albums and things like that. And then people, of course, after someone says that someone had passed away, and these were people that were big names. You know, it was Eddie Trunk and people that know what they're talking about, people that are not just going to put that out there. Ricky Rackman, things like that.
Yeah.
And, of course, people are like, well, there's no official notification. But anyway, Tawny Kitaen has passed away. She was video vixen. She was in movies. She was married to David Coverdale from I always want to say Great White, but I know it's not that. Whitesnake. Yeah. The 80s version of Led Zeppelin, basically.
Well, yeah, remember David Coverdale did a record with Jimmy Page.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Coverdale Page. That was a good album.
Mm. I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah.
So she passed away. She had some trouble, and I always am hesitant to talk too much about the troubles people have, after they pass, but she cleaned herself up. The police did talk to the family and say there was nothing found, no drug paraphernalia, no alcohol, no nothing, no suicide type situation at this point that we know of. Her father had just passed away a couple weeks before, and they were very, very close. So it is possible that's one of those situations. The funeral approaching, and just kind of her brother said she died of a broken heart, and
wow,
I'm always hesitant on that because it sounds very romantic, but I also heard someone else just say that about somebody, so we'll just let that pass. I have a weird connection because she got arrested not too long ago for beating up her second husband, who was the baseball pitcher Chuck Finley.
Really?
Yeah. She beat the hell out of him. So bad that he had to miss. This was years ago, but he had to miss a pitching start because she basically fucked him up with her stiletto. She was just kicking him, and it gouged into him. And there was not a lot of details about his injuries, but he did miss a start, and there was no scratches on her, meaning that he just basically let her because, if he had done anything back, then he would be in prison.
Right.
But the weird thing is it happened a few weeks after I met Chuck Finley.
Oh, wow.
And I had this weird thing with him because I got to go backstage at a punk concert, and you guys know me. I don't look like I should be at a backstage at a punk concert at all.
You got me backstage at a punk concert.
I did get you backstage at a punk concert.
We went to the Me First show, remember? Like 311 was there. It was great.
Yeah. That was the same situation. So I got to go backstage at a punk concert, and I was actually sitting around talking to the dudes from Bad Religion and No Effects, and they were like mocking this tall athletic dude because he was there in town because of spring training. It was a show in March of that year, and we were hanging out, and I just remembered.
Was that down here?
Yeah, it was at House of Blues in Orlando.
Yeah.
At Disney. And I just remember this super tall, athletic-looking dude, and I recognized him at the time, and they were like, and the punks were just kind of like mocking him because he was an athlete. And it was this weird situation where I was the only person that he was talking to, because every time he talked to them, they were just like, "Ooh." So I ended up like being his like buddy for the evening, and I was like, and it was weird because major pitcher,
Right,
you know?
right.
And he was like gravitating towards hanging out with me because I was the only other person there that didn't look like, I didn't have like a pin in his face or something. And then, a couple weeks later, I find out that he was involved, and you didn't know what this was because it was early 2000s, so the news didn't spread quite as fast on the internet, that he was involved in a domestic dispute. And I was like, that sucks because he was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you later on when the news comes out that she was arrested and he was fine. It was just kind of a weird situation, but, it's a kind of a long story for someone who passed away, for Tawny, his ex-wife. But it was just kind of a weird, because he was talking about her a little bit, and I was like, oh shit, I know of her. And he's like, yeah, every guy does.
every dude who was alive at that time,
yeah,
remembers her dancing around on Jaguar hoods.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, rest in peace. I'm sorry that that she finally got her act cleaned up. It seems like, and got clean and then passed away. But as I said in the chat room, this will be the only funeral to use the word schwing. And now the very important food news.
Very important food news.
Guys, what are the 5 monster cereals from General Mills that come out every Halloween?
Booberry.
Booberry, Frankenberry,
Count
Count Chocula.
One of them, I think Egypt.
Oh, the
What?
Mummy. The Mummy one. Mummy. Shit. I can't remember what.
The Fruity Yummy Mummy.
Okay.
don't
Not the
think
first
Which
time
I'm
I've been-
surprised Omar didn't remember
Not
that.
the first time I've been called that.
That was his nickname when he was in college. The Fruity Yummy Mummy.
The Fruity Yummy Mummy.
Yes. And the other one, which was also out around the same time, like they would either do Fruity Yummy Mummy or the other one, and they'd kind of bounce back and forth, was Fruit Brute. The Fruit Brute was around more in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
But, you guys weren't going to win anything anyway, so it's not a big deal.
That's fair.
But anyway, 50th anniversary of those cereals. And in honor of those cereals, they are releasing the Monster Mash,
No.
which is a combination of those cereals.
So this
And
year.
when is this supposed to happen?
Halloween of 2021.
Oh my God.
It'll be out. Their official press release, which they did not send to us for some reason, despite the fact that I am literally their key demographic. Dude that likes monsters and eats too much sugar. After 50 years on the scene, the monsters reunite to mash. For the first time ever, the monsters are coming together in one scary, delicious bowl of cereal. Yes, they're coming together in your bowl of cereal. They did the mash, the Monster Mash. The world's most monster group is back together for a limited edition cereal, and record their and then I guess the cover of the box is very cool. It looks like in the 70s everything was like always like they're in a band together,
Right.
like Partridge Family
Right,
and
right.
whatever. So it's kind of like that. Basically, they're mixing the Blueberry and Frankenberry cereal with all of the marshmallows from all the other ones.
Have you seen those new cups? That's like milk at the bottom and then the cereal at the top, and then you like just kind of drink it all at once.
I have not.
Yeah, I just got one for my daughter for her birthday. This year, here's what I'm predicting: we're gonna walk around Halloween Horror Nights with one of those cups full of like all 5 of those cereals mixed together. Probably, I assume rum or something in there as well, but whatever.
I'm wiping a tear from my eye right now.
Okay,
Oops.
done, set.
so
I'm gonna
happy.
mark it in my calendar.
So is it not until Halloween, or is it like for the month of Halloween? So we can expect it in like October.
It'll be probably late September, I would assume.
Yeah, it usually comes late September.
It'll be released in time for Halloween.
Yeah, it's usually the whole month.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's getting purchased.
Hell yeah.
Possibly not eaten because my pancreas will explode. But
Or you just buy a whole bunch of boxes so you can scalp them online.
it's true.
That's actually, I was thinking that's probably going to happen. Those boxes are going to be going for like $30 a pop.
Yep. Don't tell all of our listeners our secret plan.
Okay, well, this is just.
Anyway, we have
between
done a lot of news. Let's do our topics.
Do you want a WTF moment?
Oh, yes. Sorry, man. We've done so much news that I forgot about the state we live in. Can we do a quick one?
We can.
Okay, make it happen.
I will do this one because this one actually made me laugh. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So, our story for today is about a 48-year-old Lakeland man who was
That's
arrested
the problem right there.
for driving under the influence of alcohol and possession of cocaine. And the problem is that during his DUI arrest, he was hiding cocaine in his anus.
Okay.
Like,
That's why you always hide your cocaine in someone else's anus.
when the cop handcuffed him, he
I
handcuffed him
volunteers
with two
tribute.
handcuffs for comfort concerns. Handcuffed him with two handcuffs and stuck him in the back of the patrol car. And while the cop was filling out paperwork, he was looking in the mirror, watching this guy pull bags of powdery substance out of his pocket and insert them into his rectum.
Oh my god.
So he's doing this shit in the cop car.
Aren't there? There's cameras in the cop car.
In the cop car.
First of all,
He's
I want to
sticking bags of cocaine in his butt.
applaud this guy's
Wherewithal while he's intoxicated.
like his command of his rectum is impressive, I guess. I mean, that's like a hell of a whim decision.
Yeah, when the deputy pulled him over, he had bloodshot, watery eyes, he had slurred speech, and he was speaking in Spanish. He had trouble performing tasks. The deputy asked him to get out of the vehicle.
Wait, he had trouble performing tasks, yet he could deftly pull bags
Yeah.
of cocaine
Yeah.
from his pocket, put them in his anus while in handcuffs. We just killed Omar.
Yeah, and he got him to get out of the car when he pulled him over, and he forgot to put the car in park, and it started to roll away. And the deputy had to jump into the vehicle and put it in park.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Walking
So-
not so much. The
Yeah,
coordinated
walking not
effort
so
to put
much.
stuff in
Sticking
your
stuff
butt.
in your anus, you've got that on lock. All right.
Oh my god, what a great day.
So, and then the deputy searched his truck and found more cocaine and a bag of marijuana.
That's ridiculous.
So there you go.
Thanks for that.
Good
Rob.
work. Good
Oh
find.
my god.
Well,
Marty Martinez.
if you would like to be a part of the show and support us, you can join our Patreon. And you too could say ridiculous stuff that makes Omar almost die.
Oh my god.
It's just $5 a month, and that helps us out huge amounts. And we do a little bit of stuff for you. We let you guys into our Discord chat where we talk about all this stuff and new movie releases and trailers and all sorts of fun pop culture-y things. And there's some chat about toys and just it's fun. It's fun in there. New music, new movies. We also do a patron episode, which we actually recorded one last night for our patrons, a patron-only episode, where we had a really cool topic. We talked about 80s movies and what 80s movies you would suggest to people if they had never seen an 80s movies. Basically, the youngsters, all these people that ruin our lives by talking about how they were born in the year like 2004, and like they're driving and stuff. So, what's that all about? But we have a good time with that. There are higher levels that help us out even more, and that allows you to curate your own show. I did talk to our patron of Unusual Size, and he is going to curate an episode. These guys don't even know it yet. My two co-hosts here. There are talks about some potential fun with the patron, so he might join us in the near future. So be aware that might be coming up.
Excellent.
So thank you, Alec, on that one.
Thank you, Alec.
And you get access to the show notes, and you get a bunch of fun stuff. So that is our Patreon, patreon.com/GiveMe5podcast. Join us.
Hi, Alec.
Okay, now we're going to do the topics.
All right, so our first topic will be a movie that I went to see, and I was very excited about just the act of going to the movie. I know that's one of the things that I've really missed since the whole pandemic thing happened. Just the ability to go to a movie, sit in a theater, and experience a movie that way. I'm a big movie guy. I love going to the theater. This movie, Man of Wrath, came out on May 7th of 2021. It's directed by Guy Ritchie. So you know it's going to be a little action-packed and
Quick cuts.
Yeah.
It's got its own style.
And it stars Jason Statham, Colt McCallany, Josh Hartnett, Jeffrey Donovan, Scott Eastwood, Post Malone, Niamh Algar, Laz Alonso, Babs, Ulasen Moken, and Eddie Marsan. So it's a Jason Statham movie. And the synopsis is, mysterious and wild-eyed, a new security guard for a cash truck surprises his coworkers when he unleashes precision skills during a heist. The crew is left wondering who he is and where he came from. Soon, the marksman's ultimate motive becomes clear as he takes dramatic and irrevocable steps to settle a score.
Is that a correct synopsis?
For the most part, yeah. And this movie is pretty much exactly what I expected from a Jason Statham movie, which in this instance was perfect because that's what I was going to see. I was completely expecting a Jason Statham movie, and that's what I got. It had lots of action. It had a revenge, protection, one-man wrecking crew. It was a revenge-like / protection / one-man wrecking crew type of movie. It just totally delivered on what I was hoping for. Guy Ritchie and the writers did a great job of making you feel for the not-so-nice guy main character. You know how that works?
Yeah,
where they take a character who's not really all that sympathetic and kind of make you care. They basically turn the villain into the good guy.
Yeah.
And
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and they also did a great job, I'm sad to say, of villainizing U.S. military displaced veterans.
Interesting.
And saying that makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
Since we all know the struggles that combat veterans often have to cope with. I mean, they definitely deserve much more attention and positive support than what they actually receive. But, you know, these particular veterans end up being the villains, and the drug dealer, mob boss, bad guy ends up being the hero. And as far as the story goes, it kind of works. Now, the veterans are back. They're struggling to make ends meet. They're having trouble, you know, getting jobs and whatnot. So they decide to rob some armored trucks. And the movie really makes it seem like everybody is hitting armored trucks, and armored trucks are getting hit like every day, and it makes me wonder where the hell the police are during this whole thing. But it's like really sophisticated. They're planning things out. They're setting traps for these armored trucks so that they can, you know, rob the armored trucks. And during one of these robberies, Jason Statham, who plays the mob boss, who is setting up a armored truck hit himself, ends up in the crossfire, and his son is executed. Like, he goes to get burritos, and they pull his son out of the car because he's close to the scene, and they lay him down on the pavement and then shoot him in the back. And Jason Statham sees this and comes running down. They shoot Jason Statham, and he ends up in the hospital. And then the whole plan to pose as an armored truck driver to find out who the guys were that were responsible for killing his son.
Dropping the lead there. Is the burrito okay?
The burrito got dropped. He threw it on the ground.
I
can't see this movie. Too sad.
Burrito abuse. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the whole thing is about him trying to get revenge for them killing his son. So, while he is, you know, like, they don't really specify what he goes into, but he's bad enough that the feds know who he is, and they're pissed off about letting him go because they think that he's going to lead them to another score, or to another ring of thieves or whatever. So, I mean, you get the feeling that he's like into drugs or some kind of mob boss type thing.
Burritos.
Definitely into burrito abuse. So, I mean, all in all, it's a great action flick. It's Jason Statham. I mean, you know, you kind of get what you get from Jason Statham movies, and if that's what you're looking for, it'll deliver. Good action flick, good sequences. There's some nice driving.
Yeah, I know. I believe that with movies, you got to be realistic about what you're walking into. This isn't Citizen Kane; it's Jason Statham, right? And that's great.
Don't go to Godzilla looking for plot.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't make a Godzilla movie if you're going to add plot.
That's a good way to do it too. But no,
Nice.
like this sounds great. Like I would totally see this because it's what I call a beer movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally was. And I enjoyed the shit out of it. I enjoyed being in the theater, watching this action flick. And if you go early, it's still at the point where you're like the only one in the theater. I think I was like I was either alone or I was like one of like two people in the theater.
Nice. Well, I also want to talk about some crime. And this is true crime though. And I'm going to talk about the Sons of Sam, A Descent into Darkness, which was released on May 5th of 2021. Surprising me. It's weird because I never really know what's coming out on Netflix. Friday nights I just kind of look at the screen and I'm like, what just came out? And big on true crime stuff. The 70s are such a weird decade for me because, I was born in the 70s, but like...
Right, we were born then,
it just
but
seems
we don't know anything
it's just
about
such
it.
a weird, ugly decade. Like the fashion sucked. I'm not a big disco person. My mom hears this, she's actually going to murder me for that statement. With like a elevator shoe with like a fish in it.
You like the Commodores, it's okay.
She does like the Commodores.
You do too, I assume.
Oh yeah, she does. That's true. Yeah. But anyway, like I was never I'm not a fan of the aesthetic of the 70s. But when I was watching Vinyl, which we talked about fairly recently, and when I've been reading and all that, every so often I get drawn to it when they go back and show it. So this show basically it's about an author named Maury Terry, real dude. He had been an IBM guy. If you think big mainframes and short sleeve shirts and ties, and these like nerdy dudes wandering around these giant mainframes. Well, he was one of those, and he after the David Berkowitz murders, he either became obsessed or was investigating if David Berkowitz was the only Son of Sam killer, because it's possible that he wasn't. And first of all, I rolled my eyes super hard when they started with that. And then it occurred to me that people survived the Son of Sam. And not a single one of them said it was him that did it, that shot him.
Berkowitz.
Yeah. Like everyone that survived described someone completely different. And Berkowitz is like, I could draw Berkowitz right now from memory. He's a weird looking dude.
He's a weird looking guy, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm allowed to say this. He, is a short fat guy with a Jufro.
Yeah.
Like that's what he looks like. And no one drew that. So this guy saw that and was like, wait a second. This is weird. And then he kind of did a little more research, and the last shooting, Berkowitz was seen at a certain place and got a ticket at a certain place, and then he would have had to run full speed to get to where the actual murder was. Now, of course, there weren't cameras everywhere. There weren't, not everyone is going to see someone on the street, say hi to them, and then immediately look at their watch and be like, oh, it was 2:04 when I said hi to this person. So that was a little iffy. But anyway, 4 episodes. First episode is about the Son of Sam killing. And they don't show the killings, but it's basically, what they do show is New York in the 70s. Holy fuck. Like, I've never seen footage of what that place looked like in the 70s, but I've heard stories about it. Have you ever seen footage of that? I know Omar's the history person, but...
I haven't.
New York in the 70s is not like... It's shocking compared to what it is now.
There is a reason why so many, like, Escape from New York and Escape from the Bronx and The Warriors and all these, like, post-apocalyptic shows came out start in New York. Like, they show one picture of, like, the right at the top of an on-ramp where there's, like, that little triangle where there's always, like, where the guardrail ends, and there's, like, that little triangle of, like, oh shit, I missed my exit that you can kind of pull through. There's like a shot of one of those that just has a burnt out car just sitting there, and you could tell it's been there for a long time, on the middle of a major highway, just there.
Wow.
Yeah, there was garbage strikes and police strikes and everything. It was craziness.
Yeah.
And then, of course, serial killer starts doing serial killer things. And one of the big problems is that people were starting to lean on the governor and lean on the police. And the police finally were like, yeah, we caught the guy. And whenever there were questions, and they did, I mean, he did some of them. There was no doubt that he did some of them. He admitted it. But then there were some other ones where maybe he didn't do those ones.
Interesting.
And the whole thing is this, son of Sam. Okay. So David Berkowitz lived in an apartment, and it was nearby a family that lived in a house. They were the Carr family. John Carr and Michael Carr. And John Carr happened to look a lot like these drawings that all these victims were showing. And their father was named Sam Carr. So when the son of Sam was writing all these things, I mean, they police did put this together, that son of Sam, and these guys were the actual sons of Sam. And the weird thing is that John Carr, in 1979, so right after the killings, randomly went to live in North Dakota. And when the police went to do something there, he immediately killed himself when the police knocked on the door. The other brother, who's the younger brother, he died in a car accident in 1979 where he was very clearly run off the road. There's a lot of stuff about satanic cults in this. We've talked about how the Satanic Panic was nothing but a satanic panic in the past on this show. But there were still people that thought they were doing cult stuff. And there is a little area, I think it's called Devil's Cave, in that area of the Bronx. And to this day, you can still see like pentagrams and Satan skulls and crap like that spray painted on the wall. And it was very close to his house, and that's where these dudes hung out. It's where one of those brothers did sacrifice a dog in there. So it's not like these are like random ideas of like, oh yeah, these two kids talked to him, maybe they were part of it. Like, they were into weird shit. And it's possible that they kind of came up with an idea together, and then David Berkowitz actually did it. And then the brothers possibly helped. There's some really crazy shit in this. When they finish the first episode and they kind of catch them, I'm like, shit, there's 3 more episodes. What the hell? Like, what are they going to do?
Right. How could they? Right.
Yeah.
You're only 25% done, and you've already caught him.
Yeah. So like, they talk a little bit about that. They talk about a murder that happened at Stanford, at a church in Stanford, of Arliss Perry, and it was an unsolved murder for 40 years. And this David Berkowitz gave a book to somebody and had written something about this murder, how it was part of a Satan cult thing. Like, okay. So eventually they got to the backlog of DNA samples. This murder is horrific, and I didn't know anything about it, but they found the body in a church with a crucifix placed somewhere not so good on this woman. And they finally went through the DNA, and they revealed that it was the security guard that found the body that had done it. And that's actually how this is a bit of a spoiler. It's weird spoiling something that actually happened in real life that involves someone's death, but they show that this whole situation led to them actually catching this guy. And they show them trying to arrest him. I think it was just 2 years ago. They try to arrest him, and he's like, I'll be out in a second. Then you hear bang.
And he kills himself.
Yeah.
Wait, so how is this murder related to the Sons of Sam?
Berkowitz knew about the murder and told the police who did it.
This is so
And
weird.
then after this guy killed himself, they found the book of the author that was trying to track this down. They found his book with his stuff. So there was when Berkowitz was saying I'm friends with a bunch of cult people, they're doing this, he might not have been lying. Now Berkowitz is still alive. He looks just like this old Jewish accountant now. He's still in prison, as he should be. Actually, I guess now he's a Christian accountant because he converted. But it's kind of fascinating. It gets a little bit muddled when all these other connections start happening, because as a skeptic, you're kind of like, okay, you're giving me a bunch of information. I'm busy trying to piece these things together, and then I'm like, just like you asked, how are they connected? There's a lot of little interconnections. Why are they in the Dakotas? Why are they in Stanford? Why are all this stuff? But I thought it was interesting. I thought it was really good. I watched the first one and then had to go do something, outside, i.e. walk a puppy, and very rarely do these things get me. And I was looking over my shoulder because and it was the freaking picture of this John Carr kid, because he looks like it's an old black and white picture. He's kind of looking down and away in the picture, and that's the only real picture they have of him, and it's creepy. So if you were into true crime, you've probably already watched this. I really enjoyed it. And I would suggest you guys, or people especially, even if you just want to see what the craziness of New York in the late 70s, it's worth it just for that.
You mentioned it this week at some point, and
it's on Netflix, by the way. I don't know if I said that.
I wanted to. I thought about watching it, and I was like, man, I can't do this true crime stuff because it's so gritty and bizarre. To me, it's stranger than fiction, and I couldn't. I really did. I thought about watching it, and I was like, man, I just can't do this. It's too
they show
weird.
Well, they break down, episode 1 is the Berkowitz stuff. Episode 2 is where they get into the John Carr stuff and Sam Carr and all that. Episode 3 is basically the book that Maury Terry writes, and some of the Stanford stuff, and some of the satanic panic type situation. And then the 4th one is basically the downfall of Maury Terry, where he basically gets so obsessed with his stuff. And they talk about how he was a smoker, and he was never eating healthy and all that stuff, and how this whole stuff came about. But also that one also has an interview. He finally gets an interview with Berkowitz, and he asks him straight up, okay, which of these murders did you do? And he's like, yeah, I did that one. No, that wasn't me. I did this one. And that's not normal for a serial killer, because most serial killers are very narcissistic about it. Yeah, I did it. I want to talk about it, because a lot of them get off on talking about it. And he was very straight up saying, I didn't do some of them. And it was all the ones that they assumed that he didn't. That this guy, without telling him, I think you didn't do it, it verified what he was thinking. But you'll never know, I guess, until Berkowitz maybe comes out and says it for real. But it's interesting. A little muddled at the end, but if you like true crime, watch it. Let's talk about Jupiter's Legacy, which I have not seen all of yet.
I have.
So be gentle. I'm only on episode 3 or 4, I think.
Oh, you're not even that far into it.
Nah.
All right. Well, I'll try and give my spoiler-free description. Omar, have you seen any of this?
Okay, here's another thing.
See, what had happened
I was ready to go until I saw some of the comments that were in our chat room. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to skip it. It seems like it's not very good.
Oh, I've enjoyed it.
You have enjoyed it?
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it too, yeah.
Okay, was I misunderstanding what I was reading?
You were just seeing one person's comment that he preferred Invincible, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Okay, all right. That threw me off big time.
Yeah, never ever listen to Jubal's unless he's describing tacos. Unless, of course, and festivals, yeah. Unless, of course, you actually don't really want to talk to him if he's into tacos either, because he doesn't eat cheese.
I'm sorry,
True.
I can't do this with you. What? What'd you say? Are you insulting me?
He does not eat cheese.
Okay, we need to move on.
So anyway,
Well,
sorry. Go ahead, go
and-
ahead, Rob.
It's all right. Jupiter's Legacy is a Netflix series. Was released on May 7th of 2021. So, like I said, it's on Netflix. It stars Josh Duhamel, Leslie Bibb, Elena Kampouris, Matt Lanter, Andrew Horton, Ben Daniels, Mike Wade, Ian Quinlan, and Tyler Mane, who I believe was Sabretooth in one of the X-Men movies.
Yeah, he was.
The synopsis is: the superpowered children of superheroes struggle to live up to the legendary feats of their parents. And my initial thoughts on the series were that it's a little bit darker than what I had expected, but it does very aptly address the superhero ideal of dealing with villains. They've got this whole no kill, no government code that they set up when they first founded their organization. And they're now struggling to follow it and to keep new heroes who are appearing, to keep new heroes, interested in the code or interested in being heroes because of the code. It's because, being a superhero and not killing anybody is easy when you're just facing off against normal, non-superpowered people. You don't have to kill them, you just overpower them, and that's it. But what happens when the people you're dealing with are as strong or stronger than you and are bent on killing you and your family and friends? Does that type of restriction, being no kill, still hold? What kind of ramifications does putting it out there that killing is an okay method of dealing with your problems? Where does it stop? So it's a very compelling story. I am enjoying the shit out of it. I'm very pissed off at how season 1 ended. I would say it's probably not as binge worthy as like a Stranger Things or a Mandalorian, which you can't binge anyway. But it's still extremely watchable. I mean, I did the entire series in probably 3 sittings. It's like 8 episodes, and they're like, I don't know, like an hour a piece or so. So I did it in 3 sittings, but I enjoyed it very much. And it does a lot of hopping around as far as like present, past, because the initial superheroes, not only were they given superpowers, but they were also given a gift that's like, long life or whatever, because they were alive in the 1920s.
I like those scenes.
What's that?
I like those 1920s scenes.
Yeah, they're
like
neat. They're a nice touch.
They're well done for this type of show. They seem fairly realistic, like the dude and his father and his brother, I guess. Just you kind of knew it was coming because it was right before the Depression and the stock market crash. Mm-hmm. And I think that the jumping off of buildings thing is 100% fiction, if I'm not correct. I don't believe that actually ever happened.
What's that?
When the stock market crashed, I've looked it up, and there's no actual record of anyone committing suicide when the stock market crashed.
Oh, so that's more like lore. Okay.
Yeah. But when they showed that era, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's jumping. So I thought that was interesting. I do like the tone. The superheroes are different than your Marvel type superheroes. So far, I haven't gotten to the part where they get their powers and stuff. But I do. It's these are much grander superheroes. It seems like almost gods. And there's so much of this stuff right now. Like the downside of being a superhero. So
this isn't like The Boys or anything like that.
It's close. It's the other side of the same coin of The Boys.
Interesting.
It's not over the top like The Boys.
Okay.
It's definitely not as dark and evil as The Boys.
Okay.
But it is a bit darker than what I had expected, because I kind of expected from the description like a teenage superhero coming of age, passing the torch kind of thing.
Okay,
and that's not quite
sense.
What we're dealing with.
But that's not it, though.
Yeah, I do. My child is frantically buying games on iTunes, and I'm getting notifications, which is why you're hearing bings in the background, and I can't stop it. Because it's, for some reason, bypassing my actual volume on my phone. Sorry, listeners. So it's not there's so much deconstruction going on with superheroes. Invincible, The Boys, this, Brightburn sucked, but it was a thing that happened not too long ago. You know, there's a lot of that right now, all at the same time. And I was worried about that because I've read this. I've read the comic of this, at least some of it, and I enjoyed it. And it's definitely an interesting take on. It's an interesting take on something that they're doing a lot right now. And I do hope this is kind of the last one of these. Even what's the other show we like where they just did the Kennedy assassination thing? Umbrella Academy as well. Just kind of these different takes on superheroes. So
You think it's going to get like this take on it? This style is going to get tired. Is that what you're afraid of?
yeah. But I do think it's worth watching, even if you're a little exhausted from it. And that's probably why I'm watching it slow.
How does this hold up to the comic?
It's been a really long time since I read that.
Okay.
And to be honest, it was like one of the last comics I bought before I stopped reading. Not because of it, but and I vaguely remember reading it in a car on my lunch break. Or dinner break, technically. But
okay.
So it's I have to go back and find my issue to kind of check it out. But the characters, like as soon as I saw the characters, I'm like, oh yeah, these definitely look like the ones I know. Yeah, so that's I think really all we have to say without spoiling anything, right?
I would have liked to have spoiled some, but I'll leave it for you to watch. It's definitely very well acted. Josh Duhamel has done an excellent job as the Utopian, and everybody else, all of the cast around him as well, have done fantastic jobs. And just you kind of feel for him because you're like, well, it would just be so much easier to just kill that guy. Kill him. But Josh Duhamel is the one who's holding on very tightly to the code, and you kind of see where he's coming from, because it's that whole where does it stop thing.
Right.
And as superheroes, you have to be better.
Mm.
So.
Okay, well, that was our show. And next week, check us out on Monday. Maybe Sunday night. Sometimes I get it out early. We're going to talk about a movie called My Science Project. Rob picked. Omar squealed like a little, I don't know, girl.
Schoolgirl. It's fine.
Yeah, a little schoolgirl. He did. He was excited. And I was like, what's that?
But you must have seen it.
Never seen it. Never heard of it.
I don't understand.
Ever.
That doesn't make sense to me. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked, I tell you.
He is shocked. He looks shocked.
Yeah.
And we are going to do our Give Me 5 question of the week. Now, we have some ways you guys can get in touch with us, and we like when that happens. So, first of all, want to help the show? You can you can subscribe, you can review us on your favorite podcast listening location. We're everywhere. We're like, I don't know, what's something that's everywhere? People always say horse or dog poop, but that's
Oxygen.
like oxygen. We're everywhere like oxygen, so breathe us in.
Well played, sir.
We're like fresh strawberry preserves. Smear us on the bread that is your ear. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just so write an angry letter to us about all that shit that I just said at giveme5podcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram, Give Me 5 Pod. You can check us out on Facebook occasionally by searching for the Give Me 5 podcast. As always, spell out 5. If you are enjoying this show, I will help you with that spelling, F-I-V-E. Because if you think we're
the number 5.
yeah, if you are not enjoying the show, you already know how to spell it because you're smart. You can also, as I said, leave us reviews, and if you like our super cool logo, which I like our super cool logo, you can get that on stuff. T-shirts, cell phone cases, just things. That's available at giveme5podcast.threadless.com. Check it out. And thank you in advance. And of course, I like to say it, thank you for listening.
Sweet dreams, everybody.
And I remember when I was a kid and I got glasses, I refused to wear them, mostly because I got my ass beat all the time when I wore them.
Well, it's because nerds wear glasses.
Yeah, exactly. By other kids, not by adults or anything.
Lies.
So I remember that I really wanted
you
to
put
see
on those glasses, and your mother was like, "You
nerd,
you nerd!"
and she would tie my shoes together and push me down the stairs. Yeah, I deserved it.
I've been
Love
wearing
you, Mom.
glasses since I was 3, but yeah, I get you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.